Nanoswarm. Nanoswarm is a deterrent ability that Killjoy must equip before using. When cast, she throws a grenade that latches onto horizontal surfaces upon contact. Alternatively, she can use alt-fire to toss it underhand, resulting in a shorter and lower arc. The grenade becomes active the moment it lands. There's no setup time beyond its travel duration. If Killjoy doesn't trigger it right away, it turns invisible and stays hidden at the landing spot until activated. These inactive grenades can be retrieved during the buy phase, but once the round begins, they can no longer be recalled. However, if enemies come close enough to a hidden grenade, they will be able to visually detect it and hear a distinct hum, giving them a chance to destroy it with damage. When activated, the grenade briefly winds up before unleashing a swarm of damaging nanobots in a cylindrical area of effect. This zone pierces through terrain, with its vertical column extending both above and below the grenade's location. While the effect may appear flat on level ground, its vertical nature becomes noticeable in areas where the map elevation drops, such as ledges or sloped terrain. If Killjoy is eliminated during the round, any grenades she placed will deactivate and reveal their locations to the enemy. Alarmbot. Alarmbot is primarily an intel ability that Killjoy must equip before using. When equipped, her crosshair changes to a placement indicator for deploying a bot onto horizontal surfaces. The indicator turns pink when aimed at a valid placement, spot and red when aimed at an invalid one. On cast, the bot is placed and briefly deploys before turning invisible. Once deployed, the bot stays active indefinitely, but only if Killjoy stays within a specific range. If she moves too far away, the bot will deactivate, becoming visible and unable to detect or react to enemies. If she re-enters the valid range, the bot will automatically reactivate. The bot also deactivates if Killjoy is killed or suppressed. Killjoy can recall the bot at any time, though doing so places it on a short cooldown before it can be used again. Enemies approaching the bot will be able to see it once they're close enough and can destroy it by dealing damage. If destroyed, Killjoy and her teammates will receive a notification. When an enemy gets too close, the bot engages in a three-step activation process. First, it becomes alert, revealing itself. Then it chases the target. If it closes the distance, without being destroyed, it will leap and detonate, applying vulnerable to all enemies within its blast radius. Turret. Turret is an intel ability that Killjoy must equip before using. When equipped, her crosshair is replaced with a placement indicator for deploying a turret on horizontal surfaces. The crosshair turns pink when pointed at a valid placement location and red if the location is invalid. Upon casting, the turret is placed and briefly sets up at the chosen spot. Killjoy can recall the turret at any time, though it will enter a short cooldown before it can be placed again. Once deployed, the turret stays on the map indefinitely, but only remains active while Killjoy is within a specific proximity. If she moves too far away, the turret will deactivate, no longer responding to enemies or abilities within its detection range. Returning to the valid distance will automatically reactivate the turret. It will also deactivate if Killjoy is killed or suppressed. When active, the turret continuously scans a cone-shaped area in front of it. If it detects an enemy agent or certain abilities, it will begin a wind-up, lock onto the target, and then fire in 3-round bursts. The damage decreases with distance and is not affected by the part of the body the shots hit. Enemies can damage and destroy the turret, but doing so will alert Killjoy and her team. Lockdown. Lockdown is a crowd control ability that Killjoy must equip before casting. When used, she plants a lockdown device into the ground directly in front of her. During the placement, Killjoy can rotate her body to fine-tune the orientation and position of the device, allowing her to deploy it either at her feet or slightly ahead within a short range. Once activated, the device generates a spherical area of effect centered at its location and begins a wind-up phase. The AoE extends both above and below the planting point. While this vertical reach isn't always visible when placed on flat terrain, it becomes relevant near ledges, slopes, or elevation drops. where the sphere's vertical span becomes more apparent. Enemies within the radius will hear audible warning cues during the wind-up. After the wind-up completes, the device releases a pulse that detains all enemy agents caught within its area. The lockdown device can be damaged and destroyed by enemies. However, if this happens, Killjoy and her team are alerted to its destruction. Overview: Killjoy is a Valorant agent who excels at crowd control through the use of high-tech gadgets, automated bots, and innovative engineering. With Alarmbot and Nanoswarm, she can deploy hidden tools that either hunt down and damage enemies or detonate to deal area damage while remaining concealed. Her turret adds another layer to her defensive playstyle, allowing her to cover key locations such as spike sites, choke points, or corners by automatically firing at enemies within its field of view. Killjoy's ultimate ability, Lockdown, unleashes a powerful device that, after a brief wind-up, detains all enemies within its large radius. This creates a massive zone of control and can swing the momentum of a round in her team's favor. Skilled Killjoy players lean heavily on her utility-driven toolkit rather than relying purely on gunplay. Using her gadgets to control space, gather intel, and disrupt enemy plans.